Hey, y'all. Craig. Y'all, we gotta talk. It's been about a couple weeks since the election, and so much is coming out about how much fraud took place. But you would never know it if you listen to most of the media. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm surprised. I mean, these are the same folks that were convinced that Russia helped Trump steal the election. Same folks that spent 3.5 years Russian collusion, the Mueller investigation, all to basically find out that Hillary and the Democrats paid for this dossier that, nobody believed this on the surface. It was ridiculous, but we were all supposed to believe this crazy dossier for all this time, and that was the only proof anybody needed to start all that investigation. No proof whatsoever. And, even like Adam Schiff had testified under oath that he hadn't seen any evidence. Then went right upstairs and told the press he had incontrovertible evidence. Absolutely. That's the people that are telling us now, there's nothing to see here. Accept it. Maybe there's something, and we'll work on that. And, as we're finding things out, we're finding out things like all this Dominion stuff. Holy smokes. It's nuts. The guy that has multiple patents on the system is an Antifa supporter, hates Trump, not even too fond of Biden. I think he called Biden a fascist. But, he's an anarchist, right? Yeah. And that's the guy I want putting together the election system. Yeah. And then, there's just this tiny little office of people that are supposed to be in charge of inspecting these things, and they claim they don't know each other, but they've all worked with each other for years. Just from that point of view, from the point of view that we've got people, from different countries testifying that, oh yeah, we know all about this election system. Or the fact that even Texas looked at it and said 3 different times, no, thank you, we don't want it. To all kinds of allegations of kickbacks, and buying the system last minute. There's so much shady stuff. Crazy to hear things like, oh yeah, this is the system they used to defeat Bernie. So Hillary would get the nomination. And Bernie learned about it, and it didn't care because, hey, here's your, what's he call it, his lake house, or I don't know what it has some name for it. Anyway, Bernie's got a few houses, Sorry, Bernie, have a house. Fine. There were a lot of Democrats pointing out the flaws in the system prior to the election. And, certainly as recently as a year ago. And you don't hear anything from any of these people at this point, right? I mean, all the people who have been screaming about election fraud for the last 4 years, silent. No, this is fine. Everything's pure. And, meanwhile, you hear about things like, like in Georgia where they're going through the ballots and they're pointing out, hey, we've got these interspaced. We've got 500 of these ballots that are pristine. These are ballots that are supposed to be folded up, put into a special envelope that is then put inside of an envelope and mailed off, right? The security envelope in the middle. And so obviously they'd be folded up to go in the envelope, but these haven't been folded up. And, You're hearing from other witnesses where they saw just stacks and stacks of ballots moved in that all looked kind of the same way. They all looked pristine, and they only had one bubble filled in, and that was for Biden. And tons and tons of this stuff. And then you're finding other groups that are actually calling the people who sent in, well, the people who are on record as requesting a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot, more specifically. And then they call these people up and they ask them, "Did you request one?" Half of them practically said, "No, I never requested a ballot." And then almost the other half said, "Yeah, and I mailed it in, but yet there's no record of them placing a vote." Stuff like that. Or, a lot of dead people voting, the usual stuff, but in high numbers, People voting twice, in one state and in another state, stuff like that. It's coming up. And then you look at, just the Dominion stuff by itself. And, you hear the comments, "Oh, come on, that's ridiculous. If it's true, that'd mean elections have been messed up for years." Yeah, they have been. That's what we're finding out. And, who's telling us this? Well, some of the most righteous lawyers that we have in this country. People who have a great record. People who are putting their entire careers on the line. Yeah, I'm much more inclined to believe them than the same people who've been just lying to me over and over and over again, and especially anybody in the press. I forget it. I forget Fox. Everyone knows the flap over, Tucker and all that stuff, but Tucker, but he's said some great stuff. He's had some really, great comments, but you don't get the best time slot and a huge salary because you're bucking the system. He's there to stir things up, but only go so far. Listen, what we see here is fraud, a fixed election, but every indication is this is really huge. And isn't it funny? Suddenly, we got this big second wave of the virus worldwide, right? It's been happening in different places. And there's that shortage of toilet paper again and paper towels. What's going on with this stuff? There's no reason why we can't produce plenty of paper towels, but we've had shortages going since the beginning. Is the point to get us accustomed to shortages, to rationing? Is the point to get us accustomed to losing faith in our elections? Is the point to get kind of beyond the expectation of truth? Because they're pushing it. A lot of people pushing it. So, okay, maybe there was a lot of cheating, but, it's too far. And forget Trump. He can come back and he can race another 4 years. No. First off, we wait another 4 years. That's 4 years more of slippage where this stuff goes farther and farther away. This is 4 years of allowing China to dictate our economic policy. Come on. Now that we're seeing more and more how Hunter and Joe are conjoined with China, more evidence is coming out on Hunter. It's been coming out. You don't hear anything about this stuff anymore, but that's the fact. Same old, right? The party of here's just the big Democrat machine. And it's not even Democrats, right? It's Republicans too. It's just the party of power. And they don't like the way Trump has broken off their access to all the inside information. They like to dictate policy, and he doesn't take policy orders from anyone, and that's got them chapped. If you're inside the Beltway, you're accustomed to making a lot of money for sharing state secrets, basically. And that's how it's always done. Because, we'll spread it around to the good guys. We'll get the word out that we want. Never mind the other side. We won't even give them the time of day unless it creates enough controversy to keep things interesting. We'll control the narrative that way. Oh, this is all so tiresome. And then having the left basically tell me, calm down. It's kind of like telling your wife after she found out you've been cheating to just calm down. Okay? That is what I'm hearing. No. There's over 10 million more voters for Trump this time around than there were last time. Obviously, people are coming to his side. I don't know what Joe's numbers actually are, because it seems every indication that every vote for Trump was a fraction of a vote. Like we vote and it's only 3/4 of a vote. You vote for Joe, I don't know what it ended up being. Is it, a vote and a quarter or more than that? But did you know that Dominion software counted votes as fractions? And it cuts that fraction off, rounds it up, right? That's what it does. So I understand it was the good guys that seized the servers, and there's all kinds of information coming out. And the people who are telling us this are people I trust. People who have been nothing but patriots. People who have stood by people who had been done wrong by the globalists, the big state, whatever you want to call it. It happens. You look at Sidney Powell, understand her history and what she did for General Flynn, and then look at how that case has been treated. I mean, it's absurd. Judges basically legislating from the bench, people ignoring their oath of office or their particular place. It's like we're just supposed to accept all of this, and there's no reason to. It's unacceptable. And if we don't start making the changes right now, it'll never change. It's gotten this bad. It has to change now. We don't wait. Well, we'll wait. Maybe this Senate race. Oh, this is an important Senate race. Y'all, if what they're saying is true about how these votes have been tallied, there's no reason to believe that those senators didn't already win and others hadn't won. I've seen where they're suggesting that every Democrat gets an advantage of 35,000 votes right off the bat because of this software. I want to see all this stuff. These are serious people making these allegations. And these are not serious people who are commenting in the press. I don't care if you thought they were on your side or not. We're finding out there's a bunch of them that are rotten, and it doesn't matter whose side they say they're on. Actions, not words. So, for all those Trump voters out there, I know you're mad as a hornet. And it's important that we let people know it. If not your friends and neighbors, because I know how uncomfortable it can be, your Congress people. Let people know, hey, I'm at least a full vote. I am not willing to just roll over and accept the outcome of something that I know is rotten to the core. It's amazing that the people who, for the longest time, have told us that they're for the underdog, they're sure not for us. And they don't seem to be too fond of other opinions, even though they say they're all about free speech. And I think those people who keep calling us out need to check themselves. Stop criticizing your fellow citizens. Be the skeptic that you've always claimed you were. Take a hard look at this stuff. It's going to be coming out. It's going to be disturbing. And it has to be dealt with. Trump supporters aren't a bunch of nuts. We're patriots and we care. We care about people who aren't Trump supporters. All Americans. Everyone should get an equal shot. Doesn't mean we're all equal. We're all different. Just means that the government shouldn't stand in your way. And the government has been standing in our way. We have to change it back. So, if what I'm saying appeals to you, says, yeah, that is more along my line of reasoning that, you just need to call this right now for what it is and deal with it, then please, I don't usually ask, but please share this. Or reflect what I'm saying to your friends. Because, Trump's done a great deal. And I really believe there's a lot more he's willing and able to do. But it's up to us, again, to do all we can to make sure that the real votes are counted, not the illegal votes. If we count all the legal votes and Trump loses, I'll absolutely accept that. But not this mess that I'm being fed. This is a lie. And you skeptics out there, that would not accept Trump as your president, well, suddenly you're showing yourselves for what you are. Hypocrites. This was a problem to Democrats before the election. It should still be a problem. Even if your guy loses. Anyway, it's Sunday. This coming week is going to be exciting. I'm sure that Trump's legal team is going to release all kinds of evidence for us to look at because they've said it's as important for them to win in court as the court of public opinion. We all have to see it. But the evidence needs to be presented in front of serious-minded people who can make serious decisions, not partisan decisions, not decisions based on, globalism. Decisions made on our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. 400 years since the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. It's been a great experiment, but it's up to us to keep it going right now. I didn't serve in the military. Chicken shit. But this is the chance for all of us to serve our country. Demand that we do this right. And right now. It's reasonable. Right? Thanks for listening. Have a great day.